Sanje Chedan Soje Chuan Jiangzhou Bado Daniel Jia Zuo Chen Daji Chujian Jibe Rola Benya Sanje Robere Shuo Sanje Chedan Soje Jiangzhou Bado Daniel Jia Zuo Chen Daji Chujian Jibe Rola Benya Sanje Robere Shuo Sanje Chedan Soje Jiangzhou Bado Daniel Jia Zuo Chen Daji Chujian Jibe Rola Benya Sanje Robere Shuo Dayatang Gade Gade Para Som Gade Bodhisattva Dayatang Gade Gade Para Som Gade Bodhisattva Dayatang Gade Gade Para Som Gade Bodhisattva. Hello, Nola. So.
Go on there again.
No.
Okay. Camera's not on. Okay.
Oh yeah. Ola Suta. Simja Tamjaga Don the Topjalana Macheva Sanjay Gomara Mocha Chineja Tobasha. The Chidon, the Janjus and the Lajan of Twitch, the Namsu, all like Shingo, similar to Tola Tuju Manoa Chicodu. And comes to poverty. Gets a Chimbushiwala, the Juju with the Tesha to be in some chair.
So setting our motivation before we begin to do whatever we possibly can to attain the peerless state of enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. To attain such a state, we must perfect all the trainings on the Bodhisattva path. To perfect those trainings, we must have an understanding of them, and then we must train in them. And to be able to do that, we must be able to rely upon a non-mistaken text or a presentation. And so it is with this in mind that we have the opportunity today to listen to a teaching from the King of Mind Training texts, the Bodhisattva's Way of Life, as composed by the great master Shantideva.
And then I'm doing the Nashijan and also so she saw the chest, Rangi Tungin Nankala, or Rangi Tijata Lama Naba Tabjala Tujichambo de Deba, Tomatua, which set up, and a day because she had Chinese, yes, and in Yamshaka and Tuzico, Lusanama, Kula Chugu, to just so what did it? Musumahora, Tungin Nankali, your sons of Kumbasha.
And as we normally do, also, we begin by setting up the merit field in the space in front. The merit field, which consists of, in actuality, our own root guru, in aspect, that the figure of Shakyamuni Buddha, the greatly compassionate and skilled in means one, who has one face and two hands, with the right hand in the earth-touching mudra, the left hand in the meditative equipoise mudra, holding an alms bowl filled with nectar. He's dressed in the saffron robes of a monk, and we really feel that the Buddha is actually present.
What in the Kumbasha? And then Lama Tube Umbati, and Chivo Onkaba, Teba Amo, Tuga home over Yigasun set up, and then Tuga Hunle, we are set part of Maba Turner, and the Simja Tamjag, Ned, Titi Taja Pachang, so some such, and the Chuji Jawa said that Java Chuba Chuba Pua Della Dena, the Dagger, and the Dagger to you, the Auto, they were tombing, the Donis where she gets so some Kombacha.
And so then from the figure in front is marked with the three syllables, Hong. Light rays emanate from the Hong at the heart center, going out, and these purifying all of the negativities of all the realms of existence. And they, in turn, then transform into an offering from which then the pleasure arises, combining with voidness, and the figure abides in the wisdom of non-dual bliss and voidness.
초주 개와서다 제법 그 구속도의 연대 인발라 남바 투베 남바 젤잖아 아는 알아서 검시베 남바 투베 공부 될라바 팀네 뉴스메 버주네 로아타디 거서 뉴스메 워들 팀네 아니 라기 알아서 검죠 남바 투베 공부 이시바 무엇을 쇼네 워다 저거 워들시 뉴스메 뭐 교수 선서 워들 공부샤 자고 뉴스메 뭐 교수 선서 워들 공부샤
And then the wisdom beings dissolve into the central figure.
말에 다 들으셔라. 거기서도 라마토베 공부 다른 것도 검시별 라마토베 공부대 지원 거 정말 투고 공부. 될에 왜서 트레네 심지 탐지가 내도 디제 탐지 파장. 아니 대 장외디 아니 초지 개와서 잡을 초바피. 초지 개와서보다 잡을 초바피가 되네. 초지 개와서다 잡게 어느 투주라 대화통 대외 동반이 대돈지스마 이시켜서 삼삼차 디 규군에 초지 개와서다 잡을 구속투게 연대 임발라 남바 라마투베 옹베 남바 젠단에 다른 뭐좀 검죠 라마투베 옹베들 바팀니 니스메 버줘서 삼삼차
Lama, so the light rays emanate, beginning from the heart center of the figure we are visualizing in front, purifying all the negativities and obscurations of all the beings in the 6 realms. This then is transformed as an offering from all of the conquerors of the 10 directions. This then transforms into the bliss, which combines with voidness, and we see the figure abiding in the wisdom of non-dual bliss and voidness. This then, this bliss and voidness transforms into the body, speech, and mind of the figure that we are visualizing in the space in front. Into the wisdom beings, which dissolve into the central figure in front. And they become non-dual.
And they lie to go only with a travel tender and ongle Hannah Chantane, and this is one you tell over ongo to so at our tender, and because of the ongle hat is okay, is she good to say, and to say, on and Chilama Cheto the never let, Kutaja is she good to say, and Chilama Cheto never let, and me give a weekend much so something what the conversation.
And then once again, light rays emanate from the heart center of the figure that we are visualizing, inviting back all of the empowering deities. And these empowering deities, then they empower with the nectar of empowerment, and some of which then overflows at the crown, producing the figure of Akshobhya.
What I can what is a Choji was said that Chabageta was Choji said that Chaba, you will never lama to be over what I did. Rangatuna, what I was about years or what in a combacha.
And so we really feel that the figure that we have in the space in front, having been as it were consecrated by the wisdom beings, empowered by the beings of empowerment, and is actually there, is there in the space in front of us. All around us are all kind mother sentient beings, without exception.
What do not say the Lama to be on body, and it's because of the Goson to go there, and the Rajibatam Shejibata Tali Keva, Kula to Jimba Chuba, Penta, Pata, not Penta, Mata, Tamja to answer. What did they invite him on water? Running water out of my type of market, similar Tamja and water, tell a director why you jig it, won't do it, you take it.
And so it is through the recognition of ourselves and all sentient beings all around us, of the enlightened qualities of the Buddha's body, speech, and mind, how the Buddha has no fear in relation to suffering for themselves and is skilled in means in removing the suffering of others, who works for all without bias and with a mind of great compassion, and who works to benefit regardless of whether there is any return of benefit. And so this then inspires the faith of conviction, pure faith, and manifest faith in ourselves and all kind mother sentient beings surrounding us.
가서다 라마 투비아 공부 구수도 인데 저 그는 대화다 다외데 이제 못했죠. 얘는 랑게 타고니 버심제 탐제게네 동해게 코아게 지다 제대로 동해 나출라 때네 될enge 봐 줘게. 좋아? 가서다 로다 될라 어디 가서다 랑다 고군에 총아지다 동해게 나출 삼바도 랑라 되대 녀중. 안디 시야라 카보라 때네 아니 닝제 동해 나서 미스베 닝제 아니 대다 대화대 대두게 잡아 오다 대다 동에 주다 잡아제 제와제 맞는 탐어도 띵예 지금에서 학습 안 되려봐 제가 줘도 아니 심제 탐제샤네 심제 지가 대화 탐제 대화 동에 탐제 저와 잡아도 있어 오다 심제 탐제근도 산제고 마도나 탐민도 대 산제고 마 토바 지금에서는 아니 자주가 세불로 잡
And so we developed this triple faith, and then also recognizing in our focus on sentient beings all around us that we are all going around in cyclic existence, undergoing a variety of different sufferings, and trying to develop that sense of renunciation, of definite emergence for ourselves, and that may all others do so as well. And really in focusing on the suffering of others, that brings forth that sense of compassion within us. And in focusing on their desire for happiness, it brings forth that sense of love within us. And we really feel how wonderful it would be to be able to generate such compassion and love. I will really set out to do that. I will make this a personal responsibility. But also, I realize how limited I am in my current state of mind, being unable to do this for even one person. So when I focus on what state of mind can possibly do this for all sentient beings, without exception, it is the state of enlightenment. And so I reaffirm my vow to attain enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings, and thus bring into sharp focus the mind of enlightenment.
어떤 다쯤제 탐제근도 산제 고마도 토바지 삼사 공바시 대야 유한이도 토바지 서서 공바시 안에 된데 공백에 두바디 된데 두바디 안에 가서도 랑닝가 거돌라 이게 아찔라 주소 삼사체 데 아용서 주발에 다외 진고냐 강화치라 주소 삼사 공바자 Hello, Roger? Hello? I don't project this. Yeah? Hello? Well, deep medicine is Hello? Hello, Nola?
Hello, Gela.
어디 야보리 문도 뭐야 뭐다 되자 뭐다 간제 심제 탐제게도 산제 고바도 뉴원이도 마토도 토바치기 서서 검지죠 아니 된데게 둠바티 랑이 닝가 카돌라 다외기 뭐냐 강화 oka서 이게 아치를 줘서 섬서자 아니 아디를 셈도 샤 아디 용수 주발에 다외기 뭐냐 강화 줘서 어디를 공부해서 섬스다
And so just to perhaps something that we missed. So through our intensive motivation of the mind of enlightenment to quickly attain enlightenment, and that through that aspiration itself brings forth the seed syllable A at our own heart center, which in turn then we pause to focus on that syllable A for a moment, and that then transforms into the white moon disc mandala seed. So all ourselves and all other sentient beings all around us are similarly meditating like this.
That's the name by that semje tamje do sanje komba tobaje ngati kabato zeche ngati semde retwe lude retwe spa ngati rawanda to modo spa cheba chedo ko rawanda to ba duza meba iba za ko ngati nigi mudwa the mani ba dega gaja kazam dega semto sha ane dega semto sha jan ane dene wata dene ge tongba nyebe ge loti ane dede 그래서 다외적인 약화와 때도 이게 홍질을 줘서 삼자체.
And then we really, together with all sentient beings, engage in the analysis of this self, of this I wanting to attain enlightenment. Where is this to be found? Is it in the body? Is it in the mind? And is it something that is kind of what it appears as something self-supporting? And that, but when we actually enter into the analysis to find it, we do not find it. And that then we place our attention just on that mere negation of the object of negation. And that from that mind of emptiness then arises the syllable hung, which sits on that moon disc at our heart center.
And
now that hung transforms into a five-pronged upright Vajra, which is now marked by that syllable hung. And that sits on the moon disc.
마제바 깨네 아니 공도 패가 다 산제에 공마 마토게 봐도 다 가제 돈이도베 셔라다 자주 그 셈이 공도 패네 아니 되네 저거 소람 조람 토람 검람 밀로람 제 다야타 카데 파라카데 파라솜카데 보디소하 보디소하 마토게 봐도 왔다 벤네네 아니 공도 패가 딱 저거 And
to feel really rejoiceful at what has just occurred, you know, that we have, you know, set down, as it were, a seed of the mind of enlightenment itself and the mind of emptiness at our heart center, that they may arise and increase more and more and more, and that until we attain that state of enlightenment itself, and you know, moving through the path of accumulation, the path of preparation, the path of seeing, the path of meditation, and the path of no more learning, the tayata gate paragate parasamgate bodhi soha. And so we really feel that, you know, this is something wonderful, that we have laid down a very powerful intention, a seed that will stay with us until we attain enlightenment.
What did you yobacha? And yobacha, the Tagoto to Betsanga, Tayato, Omonimon yobacha, Razuda, Tai Magasim, the Tamjeg, Tugala, Tawato, the Zanga, the Tagola, to Betsanga, Tayato, Omonimon, Mamunia, so you debacha. What did you come?
And that at the heart center of the figure in front, our Guru Manindra that we are visualizing, is a similar configuration of the white moon disc on which stands the five-pronged Vajra, which is marked by the syllable hung. And it is also now surrounded by the name mantra of Shakyamuni Buddha, Tayata Om Muni Muni Mahamuni E Soha, as is all sentient beings all around us, as well as ourselves. We have that same configuration.
或者他把这个习过这个告诉的娘们家亲不习过这个催催蒙不上么当多个买完以呢，我大感觉小个古龙要不去，那么特别红不空，那么特别红不空呢，对了一些吧见长听。对了，让给他过的甚至他这个了，讲把的人家空，对吧？没有单位的一些的我都给对吧空，对呢，告诉的讲究个生。严重给让了没让动员拿出什么的严重给先动员的拿出什么的人家给人家得了的呢告诉的讲把当学生给得了的呢讲究个生给讲究个生给讲究个生给呢给到的给呢得了东半年给给到东半年个大约给到呢我到的那些就讲你대대 검 대배 청아장 대대 치바이라 냠네 샤바 개부시도 제 모드는 냠네 그가 뒤되는 소치 덤 잡소 좀 그래 어때 야부시 좀 그래 내 라보 덤 대보.
Now, of course, one can elaborate on this kind of practice as much as one has time, but for those who are stuck in time, that we should really try to summarize really this kind of practice. It's very briefly, but it can be extremely powerful practice to do. For example, beginning in the morning and really working on setting up our motivation and visualizing the figure of Guru Munindra in the space in front, and then being consecrated, as it were, by the wisdom beings, how we can, in the course of developing our mind of enlightenment, really very quickly focus on the suffering of all the sentient beings around us to generate that sense of compassion, of really identifying the great desire for happiness in all sentient beings, to generate that mind of love, and to really kind of generate that sense of special intention, that exalted motivation that I will take personal responsibility to really place all sentient beings in happiness and remove all suffering from sentient beings, and then to really generate that into then that mind of enlightenment, of seeing that the only road to do that is to attain enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. And so that's then to quickly establish that which symbolizes those mindsets, the moon disc mandala, the five-pronged vajras marked by the syllable Hong, and then that all surrounded by the name mantra of Shakyamuni Buddha. That would be extremely beautiful. We can really do that in a very concise manner if you have time constraints in the morning.
我的恐怕是我的理解，我到他的我的这样子我的他对这的看到讲说么的，我也他感觉我到的多把图要不空，第图个了他我多些正好到多别正好么这我那多我他的是不是他这个到我就是正好吧，大家都么是，等于是其实多个多用多，第一切都我就多别正好唱过去啥那啥的这样说啊。
And so I really, with that, having set up that visualization for us and at the heart center of the Guru Munindra in the space in front, and indeed in ourselves and all other sentient beings all around us, that mandala, that moon disc mandala on which stands the five-pronged vajra marked by the syllable Hong and surrounded by the name mantra of Shakyamuni Buddha. Since Geshe Doga is quite ill in hospital at the present, I thought we'd do a mantra of the name mantra of Shakyamuni Buddha with that visualization.
대단체 아니 tempada roa semjela pendoge because gisla khora komba khari yobane te peme rudu tutua what that the cheto mixene odo kasa tebe changa thangwa chik sabos.
And so that focusing on the removal of all obstacles to Geshe-la's health, that he may make a full recovery, retain a strong life force again, and that all his holy wishes may be fulfilled. And having this in mind while we do our mantra. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Soha Tayata 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 Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Soha
Tayata Om Muni
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 Ma
Ma
Muni
Muni
Soha
Soha
Tayata
Tayata
Om Muni
Om Muni
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 Ma
Ma
Muni Soha
Muni Soha
Tayata
Tayata
Om Muni
Om Muni
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 Ma
Ma
Muni
Muni
Soha
Soha
Tayata
Tayata
Om Muni
Om Muni
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 Ma
Ma
Muni
Muni
Soha
Soha
Tayata
Tayata
Om
Om
Muni
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 Ma
Ma
Muni
Muni
Soha
Soha
Tayata
Tayata
Om
Om
Muni
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 Ma
Ma
Muni
Muni Soha
Tayata
Tayata
Om
Om
Muni
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 Ma
Ma
Muni
Muni
Soha
Soha
Tayata
Tayata
Om
Om
Muni
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 Ma
Ma
Muni
Muni Soha
Tayata
Tayata
Om
Om
Muni
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 Ma
Ma
Muni
Muni
Soha
Soha
Tayata
Tayata
Om
Om
Muni
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 Ma
Ma
Muni
Muni Soha
Tayata
Tayata
Om
Om
Muni
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 Ma
Ma
Muni
Muni
Soha
Soha
Tayata
Tayata
Om
Om
Muni
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 Ma
Ma
Muni
Muni Soha
Tayata
Tayata
Om
Om
Muni
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 Ma
Ma
Muni
Muni
Soha
Soha
Tayata
Tayata
Om
Om
Muni
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 Ma
Ma
Muni
Muni Soha
Tayata Om
Om
Muni
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 Ma
Muni Ma
Muni
Muni
Soha
Soha
Tayata
Tayata
Om
Om
Muni
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 Ma
Ma
Muni
Muni Soha
Tayata
Tayata
Om
Om
Muni
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 Ma
Ma
Muni
Muni
Soha
Soha
Tayata
Tayata
Om
Om
Muni
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 Ma
Ma
Muni
Muni
Soha
Soha
Tayata
Tayata
Om
Om
Muni
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 Ma
Ma
Muni
Muni
Soha
Soha
Tayata
Tayata
Om
Om
Muni
Muni Muni Ma
Muni
Muni
Soha
Soha
Tayata
Yata
Om
Om
Muni
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 Ma
Ma
Muni
Muni
Soha
Soha
Tayata
Tayata
Om
Om
Muni
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 Ma
Ma
Muni
Muni
Soha
Soha
Tayata Om Muni
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 Ma
Ma
Muni
Muni
Soha
Soha
Tayata
Tayata
Om
Om
Muni
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 Ma
Ma
Muni Soha
Muni Soha
Tayata
Tayata
Om Muni
Om Muni
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 Ma
Ma
Muni
Muni
Soha
Soha
Tayata
Tayata
Om
Om
Muni
Muni
Muni Ma
Muni Ma
Muni
Muni
Soha
Soha
Tayata
Tayata
Om
Om
Muni
Muni
Ma
Muni
Muni
Ma
Soha
Muni
Tayata
Soha
Om
Tayata
Muni
Om
Muni
Muni
Ma
Muni Ma
Muni
Muni
Soha
Soha
Tayata Om Muni
Tayata
Muni
Om
Ma
Muni
Muni
Muni Ma
Soha
Muni
Tayata Om
Soha
Muni Muni
Tayata
Ma
Muni
Muni
Muni Ma Muni
Tayata
Soha
Om
Tayata
Muni Muni
Muni
Ma
Muni
Muni
Ma
Soha
Muni
Tayata Om Muni
Soha
Muni Ma
Tayata
Muni
Muni
Tayata Om
Muni
Muni
Ma
Muni
Muni
Ma Muni
Soha
Tayata Om Muni
Tayata
Muni
Muni
Ma
Muni
Muni
Ma
Tayata Om
Muni
Muni Muni
Soha
Ma Muni
Tayata
Tayata Om
Muni
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 Ma
Ma
Muni Soha
Tayata Om Muni
Tayata
Muni Ma
Muni
Muni
Muni Ma
Tayata
Muni
Om Muni
Soha
Muni Ma Muni
Tayata Muni
Tayata
Muni
Om
Ma
Muni Muni
Muni
Ma Muni
Soha
Tayata Om
Tayata
Muni
Muni
Muni Ma
Muni
Muni
Ma
Tayata
Muni
Om Muni
Soha
Muni Ma
Tayata
Muni
Muni Muni
Tayata Om
Ma
Muni
Muni
Muni Ma
Soha Tayata Muni
Tayata
Muni
Om Muni
Ma
Muni
Muni
Ma Muni
Soha
Tayata Om Muni Muni Ma
Muni
Muni
Muni Ma
Tayata Om
Muni
Muni Muni
Soha
Ma Muni
Tayata
Tayata
Muni
Om
Muni
Muni
Ma
Muni Ma
Muni
Muni
Soha
Tayata Om
Tayata
Muni
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 Muni Ma Muni
Tayata
Soha
Om Muni
Tayata
Muni
Muni
Ma
Muni
Muni
Ma
So
Muni
Tayata
Soha
Om Muni Muni Ma
Muni
Muni
Ma
Tayata
Muni
Om Muni
Soha
Muni Ma
Tayata
Muni
Muni
Tayata
Muni Ma
Om Muni
Muni
Muni Ma
Soha
Muni
Tayata
Tayata Om
Muni
Muni
Muni Ma
Muni
Muni Soha
Tayata
Tayata
Om
Muni
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 Muni Ma
Muni
Muni
Ma Muni
Tayata Om
Soha
Muni Muni Ma Muni Tayata Om Muni
Tayata
Muni
Muni
Ma
Muni
Muni
Ma
Tayata
Muni
Om Muni
Soha
Muni Ma
Tayata Muni Muni Ma
Tayata
Muni
Om Muni
Soha
Muni Ma
Tayata
Muni
Muni
Tayata
Muni
Om
Ma
Muni
Muni
Muni Ma
Soha
Muni
Tayata
Tayata
Muni
Om
Muni
Muni
Ma
Muni Ma
Muni
Muni
Soha
Tayata Om Muni Muni
Tayata
Ma
Muni Muni Ma
Tayata
Muni
Om
Soha
Muni Muni Ma
Tayata
Muni
Muni Muni Ma
Tayata Om
Muni
Muni Muni
Soha
Ma Muni
Tayata Muni Muni Ma Muni Soha
Tayata
Tayata
Om Muni
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 Ma
Muni
Muni
Ma Muni
Tayata Om
Soha
Muni Muni Ma Muni Tayata
Muni
Om Muni
Soha
Muni Ma
Tayata
Muni
Muni Muni
Tayata
Ma
Om Muni
Muni
Muni Ma
Soha Tayata Muni Muni Ma Muni 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 Ma Muni Soha Tayata Muni Muni Ma Muni Soha Tayata Muni Muni Ma Muni Soha
Tai Tao Muni Muni Mamuni Tai Tao Muni Muni Mamuni Tai Tao Muni Muni Tai Tao Muni Muni Mamuni Tai Tao Muni Muni Mamuni Tai Tao Muni Muni Tai Tao Muni Muni Mamuni Tai Tao Muni Muni Mamuni Tai Tao Muni Muni Tai Tao Muni Muni Mamuni Tai Tao Muni Muni Mamuni Tai Tao Muni Muni Tai Tao Muni Muni Mamuni Tai Tao Muni Muni Mamuni Tai Tao Muni Muni Tai Tao Muni Muni Mamuni 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 Tai Tao Muni Muni Tai Tao Muni Muni Mamuni Yeso Tai Tao Muni Muni Mamuni Tai Tai Tao Muni Muni Mahamuni Yeso Gyawati Nyodo Tao Thomas Kena Toa Chija Mani Mani Salamo 다 라마 투베 옹보 검심배 안에 다 간제 지금 검심배 안에 다 간제 지금 라마 투베 옹보 고마 토발라 다 자주가 선다 돈이도 베시라니 냠소 말아 탐내 봐. 근데 이마 인사 다 근데 자주가 선기 그 냠내게 숑 개보다보다 다 주주고 숑이래. 아니 근데 제시 투베 얘기 섭사자 어떻게
And so to aspire to stay in a similar state as the Guru Munindra, of course, we must include the generation of the mind of enlightenment and the mind of emptiness. And in the context of the former, we are here to listen to the king of mind training texts in relation to the mind of enlightenment, and that is the Bodhisattva's way of life. And so we set our motivation to listen to some verses from that now.
When you have a start.
Gyatang Guju Gopdun.
Get this should not stand at the Jatan Kazar, Kuju Godu, Kuju Godu got the subject Niva de Casa. So the Sushatu Masutata. Niva de la Niva Casa. Niba Teresa, Mineba Nache Shabasada, Sanje Niba, what Simjela Novata, Tangle Deva Chayode, Tele in Baja, Tangi, what and Soba Kamatu began, Tele and Kenjama Muchuma Yimsa, Niba Nache and Shabatina, Sawales, David Taja, Rowan Neche Besa, Tuje Chegun, Mije Jubaka, dig the Dero Soso Shagi, Mije Kala, Degon Sober Sus. What did you shoot? I am judging shoot.
And so we just begin by going back a little bit to a second outline, which is about really declaring any previous instances of disrespect and fault. This is verse number 124, which reads, "Therefore, as I have caused harm to living beings, today I openly declare all my unwholesome acts that have brought displeasure to the compassionate ones. Please bear with me, O Lords, for this displeasure I have caused you."
Semjela Neseche, Sanjela Chubakaza Pua Inate, Sanjega Suka, never Jugu Meva Insa, that Jumse, the day Imusa Jumse, Devena, Tajadoa Semja Tangela, and never Cheva. Never Cheva, Sarota, Raja goes to Cheva, and Shengi Cheva, Chesu Iran Cheva. Tagani Shengi Casada Ragi Chet Chuba, Yana Shengi Cheva, Chesu Iran Cheva, never Cheva Chesu. What are the nigga? The nigga never can just saw your one. Tuje Chede Kunge, Migeva Rosa, Juba Kaibata, Tuje Chimbo the Damba, Kenan, and Migeva Gueg, this Leg, but Kandish Java in there, Tibate, the Michabata, Bema Shabachana. Bema Shabachana, Tiba Kandish and Bet, she said, Nancy Jen, Michaba, Soso Shabakista, Soso Shabasata, and that Chida was the Kasoda, and that Kasoda. Dibadela, Cheba Hanamato, Rashi Hanamato Yondu, and Rashi Hanamato Masota, Tomba Yona Mena, Sula Yumba in Tiba Yondi, Rashi Hanamato Tibarwa. What that Jebe Hanamado was that so that Toma Kellene. And that never chigi mess Kellen Batilla on Jebe Hanamato was what I didn't is that Rajin Hanamada Jebe Hanamada never colleging by in and Bata shagging is. And there was a social shots that Nientuge Tombe Consultova Ina, Nientuge Tomba Shatan and Hinchen, Kindu Usushaye. Tomba Lady Kindu Usulego, Kindu Usushaye. And it under Janju Sebe Tomba Ina, and Sanja the Janju Sebe Kundu the Lengu, and Shaye there, Sanja the Janju Sebe Kundu Shaye. That Sanga Tomba Ina, and it Kingol Hazo Kundu the Lengu Yoba Inza, and Kingol Hazo Kudula Shaye. Social shacks against Yorba. Me give a Jabakala, they go so was Shane and so was the what did it check?
So, with regard to this, then it says, due to this reason, then whatever harm I have engaged in towards all sentient beings, I openly declare this now. And since it causes displeasure to those who are greatly compassionate, that all those negativities, I now, without hiding them in any way, without concealing them in any way, I openly declare each of them. And so here it's particularly referring to, that all of the negativities we declare, these naturally occurring, that which are seen as negative, naturally so, and then those that are prescribed by the Buddha. And these basically come under the categories of all the different vows that we have taken. We again declare and confess all of these. So that term, each of them, it means that in terms of pratimoksha vows, for example, since we have taken them from the Sangha, from preceptors, then we are said to declare them and purify them in front of those preceptors and Sangha. When we talk about the Bodhisattva vows, then we confess them in front of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. And the Tantric vows, since we are contravening the deities within the mandala, we also confess them in front of the deities and mandala of that particular tantra.
What give a color take and so was the source, what I judge what the check. That's so Chijun Doma, what I judge Diba Shawa, Diba Jumate, and Kuala Duchumanishi, Gyosemke, and Shabache, and that Chijun don't think it. So much Chijun Doma Nisa, Zawale, Deshin Shagun, Kiva Kileto, Dengne, Nedu, Jigden Tenduche. And
so then in conclusion, in that verse, the request is, the entreaty is to bear with us for all those negativities that we are in the process of declaring and purifying them. The third of those particular subheadings was then to refrain from such negativities again in the future. So this is part of the purification process, whereby we develop that regret for what we have done, purifying that, and then to make that promise in the future not to engage in similar negative behavior again. Verse number 125 reads, "From now on, in order to delight the Tathagatas, I shall serve the universe and definitely cease to cause harm. Although many beings may kick and stamp upon my head, even at the risk of dying, may I delight the protectors of the world by not retaliating."
我的那感觉这个讲究三八拉家了，他拉跟几万人呢？我打的那些这娘子啷个有的是，我打的那人上，他感觉等亲戚他当然说的，对吧？上把对吧？下把接，打把接，我打把接是吧？打把接，他其中嘛这，其中的那些对吧？马上一个等亲戚，等先下把那给列多，等的生下了那把的，也把对的那把。可能用过有问题，我出把钱的，那得用啊得把对呢，可是他用嘛就把这对的，今天个程度确实，是吧？他这个告诉的，他这告诉的，那么跟这些结吧，以内被当做来呢，他可是说的人那些钱呢，他不能人现在两个故事，他的拉家这个呢，可是这些都两个跟着结果或结果有了吧？他比这要赢不赢呢？俺我的人那些钱呢，人都去吧。主要蒙古西给是，说出来德国人呢，德国大概几万错个，许万人来的，因为这个给这度假的了，这个度假的了，别就当完人来的，他们说3万呢，他根本就讲2米多吧，对了，他个这个那嘞，对了这个对结巴了，对了，偏偏连这么多2万没解决，那2米多呗，今天我们看到，但这里因为他今天我们看到，当年你们这里呢，我打。这几个人，看到结巴最近结巴我讲，我打的这里吃把屁股药，吃把血肉结石我打我的人结巴最少。
So this, of course, is the one of the practices of the Bodhisattva on the Bodhisattva path, whereby, whatever occurs, we accept that without retaliation. And so here is saying, in order to be pleasing to the Tathagatas, those gone to bliss, that I will hold back from really retaliating to any harm done by sentient beings. And in doing so, I will become a servant of the world. That whatever is required of me, I will be willing to do so. And that even if many beings were to beat me, to hit me on the head, stamp on my head, or even to kill, I will not risk retaliation. And so, and then we kind of may all the protectors of the world be pleased because of this kind of vow that I am making.
But that didn't go can say that church gave us that Segurata, Chide Gombo Tamba. And can and that gave us the Tanget the Chigi, Tiget DJ, ye cannot do Choba Insta.
And I'm making an offering to you of this very attitude and this very intention.
Good. That Sanje and Tambo two gave up. 아니 봐도 남라라와 당고바 소바 산게 뭔가 셈제가 돌아 지금 여바 인자 아니 셈제라 너바빵 편바 두베 아니 너바 개바나 너벨라 편바 두베 제도 다 디다 산제의 자주 서발라 다 초바 초도 주바 차대고 열와
And so, since it is in the course of enlightenment that the one practitioner generates that mind of enlightenment for the benefit of sentient beings, proceeds along the path also with the benefit of sentient beings in mind, and even manifests full and complete enlightenment purely for the benefit of sentient beings. Therefore, when we respond to harm from sentient beings, not with harm, but with benefit where possible, that surely would be the supreme offering to those Buddhas, because we are really emulating just what they did themselves.
아니 너바 제바디 너바 마저다 편바투바데 유대나 마투바 때 두고 소소도 저거 유대나 마투바 개담네 왔다 간제 개담네 동반이게 다외 시베토네 watch도더니 거소데 제원도 아니 디 가소디 아니 다 간제 산제게 아니 산제게 아니 가소데 다 가소데 가소데 구주에다 산제가 투주에 줄어 줘되기도.
And in that particular instance whereby we are really choosing to benefit rather than to harm in the face of harm, and that can also be imbued with the view of emptiness, so that harm is seen to be lacking any objective existence, that the benefit that I am responding with is also lacking any objective existence. I, the agent of that benefit, is lacking any objective existence. And thereby, by being able to imbue that act of generosity or that act of non-harming and benefit with that mind of emptiness, we are laying down again an excellent cause for enlightenment.
What is they don't get up? What? Because nobody ever around the Matuba. And nobody ever lender pepper to buy around the Matuba. They do not so around tea, they were the Tombaja, they don't use my sheet. Because Yam turn a cop. What did it? What that?
And that should it induce the bliss and voidness meditation, all the better, that through our contemplation on the emptiness of the situation, that can lead to a sense of a bliss which combines with voidness, and we can abide in the wisdom of non-dual bliss and voidness. And in that moment, that would also be excellent.
다 이바데나 다 되게 지가 소리 몰람 수제 잡네 다 탑시면 지금 알리가 강투도 배조자 몰람 수제 잡네 강투도 된데 제토야 몰람 수제 잡다 간제 저 샘제 탐제 그도 산제 고마 되고도나 탑시면 해봐 탑니바지 해봐 다 이 냠서 말라라 탑니바지 해봐 어떻게
And so, as well as doing our best to be able to greet all such situations in this way, we can also make aspirational prayers so that we can do so even more regularly and more perfectly, because it's the benefit of sentient beings that lead to that state of enlightenment that will fulfill the purpose. There is no second way of doing it. And so it's really important for us to be able to recognize this is the only means by which we can really, fulfill the purpose of other sentient beings.
니바 되나 셈젤라 니바 되나 셈젤라 야 구바 자와 뒤데 때문에 자와래 조와 되고 투제 당전데 다도 제와들라 태소메 셈젤 오보 통화 대단히 아니 가서 고한데 다니 지지 구매체스.
Next comes a second outline, which is really following on from this way of regarding sentient beings, where then it's the showing of respect to sentient beings, which is included in this overall attitude. Verse number 126. There is no doubt that those with the nature of compassion regard all these beings the same as themselves. Furthermore, those who see this Buddha nature as the nature of sentient beings see the Buddhas themselves. Why then do I not respect sentient beings?
아니 투제 다니제 투제 전부 다니제 상계 좀 되게 당보 투게 되네 투게네 아니 당신 제외를 로 장고로 왔다 투게네다 날 란지제 개침부지 되네 아니 란지제 개침부지도 아니 토스제나 와나메가 봐도 동에 나서 완전 코에 동에 나서 완전 아니 다 란젠제데 아니 녀박군지 자와 ngothoonde 아니 셴젠젠데 다 디기 탐제가 중에 막 ngotho도 아니 당신 제원데 아 당신 제로 곰발 때네 아니 셴sem제 다데 다도 제버 왔다 다기 고살라 샤네 다기 고살라 샤네 아니 셴sem제 단제데 아니 다기 제와데라 아니 가서 당신 제외로 고만도 에셰 sem제 탐제 아니 다 sem제 탐제 안 다기 시네 안 다도 제바들다 최소요 말이스 가서나 콩게 된데 제바 인사 투게 tu kene ani cholam cholam tholam kola milolamba tachi bachune ani sanje goma top duas keso mebesa ta semje jo ta dene yima dana ngozo semje ngobo thonga deni nga sanje ge lamla tu ke ani dene lamla la ngba soba sanje sa di semje deni ani dagi jewarta 코랑게 ngobola dene ani dadu je der wata dagi 제대로 다 다니 그거 다 가져 태소 매매 샘전지 ngobo 통화 대단히 공부 산제 되니게 다니 찾아오다 공부 산제 되니게 다니 임베 내가 지체 그거 맞아 내가 가르치는 것도 그거 지금 말해 미치에 된 예벌 잡고서 셔봐 오자 당신 제외 로딜 삼로 땅에
And so this verse can be read within the context of the practice of exchange, equalizing and exchange of self and others. And that when we see this, we contemplate this one aspect of the self-cherishing attitude and considering ourselves to be all important, and how this attitude has sustained a career from the peak of cyclic existence down into the hell without respite, all within the cyclic existence, really getting us nowhere but suffering. And then when in the course of it, the practice that we actually turn our minds to the cherishing of others, of considering others to be all important, and make that exchange from the self-cherishing to the cherishing of others, and how that can generate that mind of enlightenment, and that how that then can lead through the path of accumulation, the path of preparation, the path of seeing and meditation, to the path of enlightenment, no more learning, to the state of enlightenment, and how all the previous Buddhas have done just that in being able to exchange that view from the self-cherishing attitude to the one which cherishes other sentient beings. And so it's really seeing all the sentient beings really as enlightened. It's kind of like in those gone to bliss, as it said in the verse, with the nature of those with the nature of compassion, seeing all those beings the same as themselves. So it's kind of really exchanging that view. This is what this verse can be read as.
초지 겨세다 제바게 수지 겨세다 제바게 아니 랑 야와도 셴 제발선도 아니 셴 심제 탐제 다기 소라다 셴 심제 탐제 다기 살을 샤는 소소 자주 선바다 아니 제가 소데 산제의 초주 산제의 장주 선바나게 아니 소소 사텔라 셴 심제 탐제 샤네 아니 디다 다기 제네 제버와 다 되네 이마자 당먼저 심제 탐제데 다 간제 셴 심제 탐제데 다 간제 지 가소렴 탐제데 다 디가서 산제 탐제제 오보라 다 가서데 가서데 통화 대단히 가서 심제 탐제제 오보 통화 심제 탐 다 산제 탐제데 심제 탐제 오보 통화 되니 공부대 산제 공부 산제 뒤에 다니 임베서 지치
So it's really that the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions are seeing all sentient beings, exchanging them, really seeing what it's like for them to be as themselves, seeing other sentient beings like that, and wanting to hold them with such respect because of that. And so here in this verse, that those with that nature of compassion regard all these beings the same as themselves. Furthermore, those who see this Buddha nature as the nature of sentient beings see the Buddhas themselves. And then the question at the end, the very pertinent question, then if that is the case, why do I not see them with respect? Why do I not treat sentient beings with that level of respect? I definitely have to really see beings with that level of respect.
是他感觉sem je tham je la san je rig yo be chane samlo tang sa ji to ya sem je tham je la chu chu ge wa se da che ba ge nga thu ge lam la la ngo ba so wa sang ge wa chi de sem je de ane ta ka je rang le tang rang che ba sem ba de le tang ne shen chen je de ane rang chen je nga rang chen je ge sa de la shen chen je de sha o de an di da 간자 가서 샘제도 차트 교재 딜라네 지금 페바투나 산제라 페바투만 저한테 책도 쓰는 왔다 그저 고사 냠는 그 고사네 삼로 땅나야 와 삼로 땅사 유에 되겠지 야나 샘제 탐제 교라 산제 그 리유에 좀생도 삼로 땅나야 땅사 유에 되겠지 그 초니네 삼로 땅사도 왔는데 이제 샘제 개체 못 쓰야 돼.
And so here really it's a case of really coming to the same conclusion with the choice of having two doorways into it, and that one is that one can view sentient beings as having all the same as we have Buddha nature, and therefore they are deserving of the utmost respect because of that, and wanting then deserving of a benefit in all cases. Similarly so, that we can understand that all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions have proceeded in being able to generate that mind of enlightenment and proceed along the path and attain that state of enlightenment through the benefit, through relying on how they themselves regard sentient beings. And that is primarily is this process by which they have exchanged the self-cherishing attitude to the attitude of cherishing others. And this then is the kind of logic that is used to be exclusively only focused on benefiting other sentient beings. Either way, one reaches that conclusion of seeing the utmost importance and preciousness of other sentient beings and concluding that one has to be of benefit to them. 치켄사 정상 하서 게 선택 정상
갈조스
지 게 니바디 용기도 하나 가르스
다다다도
단다닥닥도 가나
더 뒤바이나 딱 이제 셈젤라 지금 가서 편바 줍토나 뭐좀 균에 셈젤라 편바 줍토나 아니 산지가 쳐발라 줘두게 산지 셈젤라 편바지 줍마도 바이나 될 내가 정소나 아니 산지가 쳐발라 마주게 차두고도 와 로아 니베 쳐발라 마주게 차두고도 오다디 뭐트베디 개쳐 보셔도다 산지가 니베 쳐바 주도 마주도 셈젤라 편도다 마도.
And so really, in brief, when we boil it down, it means that if we are benefiting sentient beings, that is a justifying offering to the Buddhas. If we are failing to benefit sentient beings, in other words, harming sentient beings, that can never be an offering to the Buddhas. So that's what it amounts to. Benefiting sentient beings or not, it is that which demarcates whether we are making an offering to Buddhas or not.
dom jawaina ta kanje semjala nyoba chana rangla nyoba redwa semjala phemba chana rangla phemba redwa.
Another way of saying it is that if we are harming sentient beings, we are harming ourselves. If we are benefiting sentient beings, we are certainly benefiting ourselves.
What ta domja ta kanje dele imbaza
So make the unmistaken choice. And so it's really important for us to look extensively, you know, as it says, in the 10 directions, and try to get that viewpoint, that very profound and expansive viewpoint, in order to make the unmistaken choice. If we're looking just from one narrow lens and from one point of view, it's unlikely for us to get the full picture.
Just the Deva to be shake your Deva to be shake that Deva to be shake the other Deva you Manoa. There was in the call Rick to be Rick to be Table Young Yasa and a call Deva you Chasala Putawa Yona and Table de Chasala Putawa Chugurwa. And you de Chasala Pimata, and Table de Chamasala Pimata Yungurwa.
And so, after all, we are engaging in spiritual practice for the purpose of happiness. And that really then behoves us to ensure that whatever we are doing is creating the causes of happiness, that the causes must be in harmony with that which we really wish for. And so here, we must be careful to make the unmistaken choices with regard to the causes that we are laying down, if it's indeed happiness we want. Second outline is the meditation, the benefits of meditation on patience, 3 subheadings. One, showing this through sutra. Secondly, explain an explanation of the benefits through example. And thirdly, a brief list of the benefits of patience. Or really a summary of a summary list of the benefits of patience. And the first of these then is verse number 127, which reads, "Pleasing living beings delights the Tathagatas, and perfectly accomplishes my own purpose as well. In addition, it dispels the pain and misery of the universe. Therefore, I should always practice it."
That's Soba Combatini, Desisha, Never Chevers, top choice in this, top choice in this. Desisha, yes, was Namju, Moranzo, Chidan Migi, meet the Kabucho, meet the Tobayo, Teles, some of the Tana Chicken, some of the Tata taking metro. Desisha was singing the two Java in the Simjan get to the two. Lama lava the Simjan the tin. Mubazo Wasanje, the Simjan go to Mubazo Wasanje, Simjan la Pambatona, the two Giriorwa. Simjan la Pambatona, two Girior. Then enjoy the Shishavani just the Simjan la Pamba. Pamba, you made the chatting door. Simjan la Pamba round the Javagal Pambasora. Champagne round the Mape, Telemare. Simjan Tamjala Pambas, the round the Java Simja Tamjala Pamba the Karim, but. And if Pambatata, Nietzsche Chagua, what it do that? Soba Combatini, Desishaba, nearby Cheva, top choice in Jingsa. Top choice in the Rangi, Yanda, what to watch a Denito. The name by Isa, Desishaba Nietzsche in the Rangi, Yanda, what to jet, Tichade, because a Simja Tamje, like never Simja now, so 3 or 1. So 3 or 1. Round the Cheverwa. Rangi, Yanda, what to watch a Tichade, Denidosa. Jigden Simja Tamjig Dunga Sewa Chewa, Shender Juba, Deni, Simja Tamjig Jigden as 심지어 탐제가 동해 세워 제바 아니 현재 주와 양 현재 주스도 오다 도다 다가랑 고주랬어 좀제 대대 이마서 좀제 대다면은 다제 따도 서바 남송고 되니 냠는 게 티도 제바 다 좀제 대다 이마에서 아니 서바 숨보 가서 서바 숨데 가서 너제래 지만녀서 서바 동네 다는 거 서바 출한 게 저거 서바라 서바 숨보 탐제 대다 탐제 아빠 냠는 게 티도 제 냠는 거 쪼제다 제고 그랬어.
And so here where it begins that pleasing living beings delights the Tathagatas. And so here it's kind of saying we should not do this in the same way as, say, pleasing a person, where they can become delighted when circumstances come together. But here it's really more or less that when we are patients, when we exhibit patience, that in itself is pleasing. And that, the sentient beings towards whom we are patient can be pleased and so on. And that is a supreme means of such pleasure. And it's not only that, but it is also that which fulfills an excellent means of fulfilling our own purpose. And that in eradicating the suffering of all sentient beings in the world, it is a means by which we can fulfill the purpose of others. And so because of all these reasons, then it is a really kind of like a no-brainer that we should do our best to always practice the three aspects of patience, and that to really immerse ourselves in those three aspects of patience, being the patience of not retaliating against harm, the patience of willingly enduring sufferings, and the patience of discriminative awareness of Dharma. And so one should then really immerse ourselves in such a practice. It's a really important practice.
Pena kebu mikasha kebu mangla necheja kebu mija ringboda neja chine mijate teta techi mayinde kebu tutopti pungsa.
And so the next is the second outline of an explanation of the benefits through example. This has two sub headings. That is the example and the meaning of the example of why it's beneficial, and secondly, then a unique and excellent explanation of the example. So the first is the example. This is then verse number 128 and part of 129. And so it reads, for example, should some of the king's men cause harm to many people, far-sighted men would not return the harm, even if they were able to do so. For they see that these men are not alone, but are supported by the might of the king.
What Never mind, social pedagogy on the Samatango, yes, we are what I get water. There is a Samatango, Samatango is a Kibu Migan and put in a penna. Kebu Koje, Mikasheta, Kebu, sometimes you can Kibu Mongola, you call it, you Kibu Shabato, never Cheja, never Chaba in Naya. That rich come to the Gugabrana, part 6 to Zashe, and Namju, the younger, Michi, some Jachabota, Taring Book, Neta, some time to win there. Kibu Mijan Rimbu, Chijin, Gaza, Tones, that did Chabaina, Chele, Kebi Chabala was on Kebi Magawa Diligence, so never delay chat and the Yoga Yoba Dishene, Toba, Asa, Tadella, Nova, 제뉴 자서 제 컵도들 네바 파 네베 레라 파 네바 제투고 이나 친 네바 미제베 되죠 코데 지구 코데 지구 저 뽕메바 되는 많이 봐 개비 투도 다 개비 네바데 엔디 잡려 요바 인자 그래서 대에서 뽕이 뭐现在아파 네바 맞제 전에 엔 수선전 대를 왔어我da
And so this example then details how some of the retinue of a king are set out, and they cause a great deal of harm to a great deal of a people. But even those who actually who see this occurring or who witness this, and it says that in far-sighted men, those who can see a great deal into the situation, that in terms of what could be a benefit and what could be harmful in the course of action that they might take, can even if they could retaliate, do not choose to retaliate, because they realize that the retinue of these people who are very cruel and harmful are not acting alone, but they are under the protection of a powerful king. And so they choose patience instead of retaliation. So the second of the outlines is the meaning of such an example. And so the remainder of verse number 129 and the first two lines of verse 130 say, likewise, I should not underestimate weak beings who cause me a little harm, for they are supported by the guardians of hell and by all the compassionate ones.
So pa su nyoba kewa da pa nyoba ke ne ke tuye de yimba kola je nyoba shira mewa yimba ina ya eja andele kesu jijo ma sa koran ge da dile tene ko dile tene kedo kese jijo mi ja de da jena ane so so nya so la kene ane nya so ge juma go sa gres de da nyawe ge sungma da ane tuje chen do mana kewa se da jabana di pung na shi cha de ora si yimbe ane nole jeba color that no knowledge about colors that is so never get a pala to come to the never get to go to that no never what na and the caso tata take maria so what jeba in and so
And so it's saying, like that example then, should weak-minded people engage in harm, that again, one must take into consideration that we should not underestimate what is going on here, because they are supported by the demons of hell realms, because they're creating these negative causes that are going to lead them into that situation. But also there's the capacity here for the greatly compassionate one. The children of the conquerors can be supporting this situation too. In other words, for us to make that right choice. The right choice is to not return harm for harm, and to kind of say, there's no legitimacy in such in taking the view that one must harm in a situation like this.
다 소소 레냐발라 텔라테네 아니 냐웨게 노바케게 데데 레디 온거 차로고요 레디를 테네 Copy around the Jumda Yomata, so let the onge, and never taking Nava Sungala Sabati with the Charu Yore, let the onge Tubo Yore. And then Geshe Chambo, Tani Chambo, T. Pungas, Geshe Tani Chambo, and T. Robaja, never give a Kishamare, T. Pungas, Mozu Pa, Semjela Pamado, no Kiabayina, and no Kiaba de Latin, Geshe Tani Chambo, to give a Chavachagudua, to Migiba Judogudua. To Miguel user to Miguel Chagri Mare, continue to give it. In an Arad Chobati, similar Nova Chabati, to give a Choba Major to Miguel Jutoare. Jutoa is social Yavasagio, Divasagio. Mendayan, to Miguel user pay Gazette Chabo, Condo San, social Nova Chabati, Mare, Miguel Juto, Miguel Juto the Ran Yavasangu. What he gets about the Gazette Chabo continue. Sula, Semja Sula in a Pabatu, but nobody will carry your money. That young to go to your money. What else?
And so here, of course, the one who engages in the harm, be it the one who is harming, or perhaps ourselves who have responded to or reacted to that harm, we are creating a negative karma. That is laid down on the mind stream, and from that then arises, not just the rebirth into hell, but that creates those guardians, the demons of the hell that are harming us in the hell realms. This all comes from our own karma, and so that has to be taken into consideration. And similarly, if we were to respond in a harmful way, that would, as is said, would displease the children of the conquerors, the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Now, it's not that they, frown or get angry or do anything like that. They realize that we are creating negativity. They realize that that's going to be have negative consequences for us, that we have engaged in faulty activity. So, and their attitude is one of compassion.
Tuji gave a nugget, the Pons then, Nugget, the Pont de la Robacha, so never gave a Delicate the Pons, and was it never gave a dinner, and it was gave a Chobach Primo dollar, me gave a Choba Judo, me gave a Choba Judo, Judo never saw the never saw it to what did only social Jonglatic to a lady sound.
And so it's kind of really saying, this term of supported in the verses here, where it says they are supported by the guardians of hells and by all the compassionate ones. Supported here is that that the kind of, how to say, our negative, our acting on the negative side is that which is supporting the rising of the hell beings, the guardians of the hells. It's also that which is kind of prompting this compassionate attitude, because we have engaged in negativity from the compassionate ones.
Pele Cabardo Papa Shabane, Niva Pele Cabardo Papa Shabane, Zawale, de Mangi Geldobshin, Semjen Namne Guacha, Kebotashi, Chunayang, Semjen Mu Jebaye, Mongbar Juba, Kayeba, Neve Neva Dejetum, Kebotashi, Kunayang, Semjen Gua Jebaye, Toba Juba, Kayeba, Sanje Niji, Misidosa.
So then we have the second outline, the unique and excellent explanation of the example. Continuing on with the rest of verse number 130, but also including verses 131 and 132. So, behaving like the subjects of that fiery king, I should please all sentient beings. Even if such a king were to become angry, could he cause the pain of hell? which is the fruit I would have to experience by displeasing sentient beings. And even if such a king were to be kind, he could not possibly grant me Buddhahood, which is the fruit I would obtain by pleasing sentient beings.
What did it? Ngarazo Namju, Chigasora, Ngarazo Mi Totan, Cheva Yinata, Chidas, Chidas, Mangi, Kiabu, Tumbushilata, Kiabuchita, Benar Kiabu, the Jotan on the Sheva Yina, and Kiabu, that Kiabu Ricasheta, Sosu Missy, Tajon Yabo, Pe, Gesetani Chabu. Jobala lovely Pemis Peter, what the Yungu Yoda, Yabu, Mabushi, and if Mrs. Soso Chicaso Chicaso the Pejutansa solo, Chala solo du Shema the Be, Missile Chicaso, Sewada, the Lake Mega, the Lake Tepja, the Yungu Yorwa, the Yungu on Chibo, Pet the Yungu Yorwa, the name is up, and Chita Mangi Kiabutumbu. Kiabutumbo se long long chojo kondosa kari cheba in the pet lamjan never tang chojo never de never tap chebot in the tang what in the tumbo never casa never chung se cheba la yang never chebot in the ken chebate and that deep chick kabu yong tapchi kalen jigero kuwa jawa shindo ta semje denane kuwa chate and the kuya chela ta petu chetigwa ta di kondo sawanda mo never shimski girsan ti gebo de kal lawa inata Casade Chicasodeta, Lasso Sem the Kayo Marvata. What are the she will get him cigarettes? Gabu data was a China Yansa, Treva Ima Condo Savaina, Semje Magu Chavayi, Noa Jubata, Semje Magu Chava, you might not call a Guba Majavana, Majuba Kanye Bate, Navi never gave this Chatham. So the red up does it Chavaina, Tama? So Chu Yana, so chicken, Tilla Laka Cheto Yomarva. Tilla Lache Yomar, Michet, what shall have
And so this is really detailing, the way humans sometimes act, and especially in positions of power, like they're saying here, this cruel, hot-tempered king referred to, where it says, so behaving like the subjects of such a king, I should please all sentient beings, and that because that king, that if they are angry, the worst they can do is to take one's life, and to harm and to take a life. But other than that, they can't do any worse than that.
Because the never Kazecha in there, the Nyawal Tantu Marwas, Nyawal Kegel, because of the Gabuti Chetu Maros, never Gabuti Cheta Chetugamara. That Tama Javana, called Shito at the middle. She and it up, gave you Savine, share it, gave you Mazavine, share it, share. Roy gave you Senate, Chicken, Masana Chicken.
And so what's they're saying here, yes, that the worst they can do is kill us, but they cannot send us to the hell realms. That's our own doing. And in fact, if we're not killed by the king, we have to die anyway, isn't it? Like that has to be the case. Just a difference in time, that's all. Yeah.
Yomarta, Kebu data was a Gunayang, Kebu data was a Pechicasole, Gabuchune, and a quick debatun the Javaina. So the Toba Karitobra, Toba Javakai Batene, Sanjay Gobani, Sanjay Gomatoya Yomare, that negative so should I share Mogaja, who would dare Pento Yungu Yore, and they have quit that Gonet of Tosra, how what that the net of matter, she was your Sanjay Comato Yomara. Jimmy Sito, Sanjay Combated, Shake Yomata, Cornelis Tos Tabieta, with the letter, Onja Tos Raeta, Timeto, Tinaka, the regiment of Sanjay Comara Yomar was.
And similarly, it's saying, even if that king were to be kind, he could not possibly grant me Buddhahood. that, again, showing the limitations of even somebody who has that very temporary grasp on power, a very temporary grasp on, riches or whatever it is they have, but they can very limited, even if they were to be kind, that they cannot grant me Buddhahood. Understand?
No, that gave the Gabuchona, Connect was a young doctor, Manda, young, and Yaga Shamba de Mubu and Yaga Yorwa, but that can take Kaina Mena, Cook Sanjay Goma, Jutubet, Sanjay Gomala created a young woman to us. The day you better, Kiabu Chipachabu Juvena, Dilla Mazuke, Nega Kai Moyage, the kind of subsub chicken to us. Subsa chicken to our tea, Kazet never chavana, so salt of the delegate to Marias. And a dick, she will Kabuchuma in by Inaya, Karche to Gure, Nega Connect or Toss like the Tilacha, Sanjay commanded to Maras, visit the Chabocha.
And so it's really saying that, that regardless of what the external circumstances are, be it the actions of a king being cruel or the actions of a king being kind, that they cannot, on the one hand, send us to the hell realms, or on the other, grant us enlightenment. That it's really about us being very careful with regard our own actions, and that is what determines the consequences for ourselves.
That I want to tell you. That I want to Sabako Mataway, chicken never care. Sabako Mataway, Sabako Mataway, take a dizzy Tundon chick. Chook that chicken, now like a juice to good one. Sabako to Waina, never let a pebble to go in, Sanjay to good one. That then you get the Tanga Monoa cheese to go your water. Was the summer station?
And so it's really saying here that, if one is unable to apply patience in these situations, then one can very quickly lay down the causes for hell rebirth. Whereas if we are able to respond with patience, then we can equally quickly lay down the causes for the attainment of enlightenment. And so it's really a note of caution. Be careful to make the unmistaken choice in all situations there. It's really the difference between being able to properly think about these situations, to see, the impact or the import of the situation.
The less much Geshe like better than my drama do it. Chicken, oh, because of the water,
and indeed, one can see when one really takes the time to think deeply about these points, how amazing is this text by the Master Shantideva, how much he's gone into it.
That's some paying a number of the temple, some tribute so Konchok get table, Nami get table shower watcher.
Thirdly, then, is the brief outline of a list of benefits of patience. The first is the main result. Secondly, the result in this life, and thirdly, the ripened result. An explanation of all three.
What is it? What is it? That what is it? That tribute to tribute over the last Tambutine, Semjan Gule Chungaye, Mao Sanje to Tasho.
The first of these, the main result, is the first, or is verse number 133. That my future attainment of Buddhahood comes from pleasing sentient beings.
What is that? That didn't Semjan Goale Chuedo, Semjan rather Semjan Goale Chue, Tebu, Mao Bana, Sanje to pay you what a sham or a tasho. Negab get city, Negab Chachana, Table Turner Young, Table Turner Young, Soba Comco, but soba kom go ta kowati ngotwa chungura soba komne semjen kuya tabla jine ja be ko so ta nyaba do ta 지가 소래 타도 산제 고바 조바다 시에 먹어왔지 내가 그 차차와이 나 떠바이나 소바 공권에 섬전 고와죠 나 고월 맞게 봐나 탑시에 요마서 들어 배준 적어서 배고서 시에 먹었지.
And so it's saying here that through our pleasing of sentient beings comes the wonderful result of enlightenment, being able to attain enlightenment. And this so it goes without saying that that even in this and future, in the short term, the benefits of this in this life and in future lives in the short term, the results also will be wonderful through relying on patience, the way of pleasing sentient beings in whatever way I can.
사니바 통주가 저번에 자war래 세대니라 배전다 자다 개교치마 통자.
And then the second of these is the result in this life, in the short term in this life. So it's verse again number 133. Why do I not see this, as well as the glory, renown, and happiness in this very life? Why is it that I do not see this?
소바 검내서 심제라 고아 제발래 통주 세대니라야 아니 소소가 저 벤조 롱조라 소바다 아니 지금 녀베 잡바다 그 녀다라 소바 디지 패와 주와데 아니 가서 도나제다 통거래서 심마동데 녀바도 통화주로 셔보고죠.
And so that through our meditation on patience and the application of patience and the kind of like a way we are transforming the way we view sentient beings, we can see the benefits of this in just one life, how it can lead to great wealth, of great renown, of being kind of really liked by many people, and indeed of having a glorious happiness in this life. This is definitely something that we can see. And so why isn't it that we do not see sentient beings or view sentient beings in this way?
산제 고마다 시험을 세대를 수바 공 년에 야보 지금 뜻으로 아니 지금 로아 가서 아니 심제 고아지 잡발래 통해야 아니 세대니라야 아니 지금 벤조 튼게 여바다 로아다 같이 기부다 반냠래 비다고 요근데서 저 파푸사 알아말았다 배타는 문에 용 딜래 지금 로아다 벤조라 소바다 초발라 소바 피했는데 다 통주수여다 버려 통주수여야 돼 버려 다 다가네 생게 년자 뒤 잡아 아니 저 가서래 다 간자 저기 뒤 아니 심제라 페버 두고 여바다 잡아다 아니 저기 냠랭게 잡아 된 속에 아니 잡아 잡아다 잡아 용디 아니 디기 안 될라데네다 그 저기 내가 그 차샤와 있네 아니 디기 다 튼제가 용대 주와 지마도네 통고도 안 거죠 있다 근데 그 기부 망보 근데 점불리나로 통화유 되게 들어와 통화교를 시험 오죠.
And so it's saying here that no need to speak about the attainment of enlightenment itself as the main cause of patience, but even in the short term in this life, we can see that it can produce, great, joy and great kind of like renown and indeed great happiness. This is something that is seen. We can see this in many beings and many those who exhibit these qualities of patience.
거제 수비 거자 수바 아사 남이게 저보 셔바네 자war래 거제 수비 제소다 내면 받아 잡아이 신도 유령 초와다 콜로주에 대제 톡.
And then the third of these, the ripened effect of patience. That explanation comes in verse number 134, which reads, while in cyclic existence, patience causes beauty, health, and renown. Because of these, I shall live for a very long time and win the extensive pleasure of the universal chakra kings.
get that call never daring like get so the call get what sing it say that call corner that's a chima to sena yang and sevati and su zeshing and su zeshing so and call pusong soba and so get su zeva and so get call digete and so soba combala digete sera chima penjala dige call dige and sebe nyamle jigen the sala jig the kase megen chen so ngara zo kan te de pigi jigdo samsa yor de hop de pigi kere ma do zo de rang le sa de yor rang sebe nyamle de 아니 제발 때는 세르 치마 단절 아니 세베 냠네 디 온게 랑게 코르게 디 세베 냠네 지긴 데데 잔자 주도 레라고 용한테 그러와 어젠데도 그래서 제저 코르푸소 초바 소자 아자 소다 아니 다가니 제 내나자 되게 매봐 내매봐 아니 작바다 제베에서 권에 신도 유령도 소화 아니 저게 내나자 되면 체증부 유령부 소야 아니 디야 아니 저게 선전 저게 빠도 매발을 편바 두투야 권에 신도 유령부 소투야 된다 된다 아니 콜로지에 개비게 개비어서 대화 개와 토바다 콜로지에 개비 개와라 셴네 아니 선전 장 매바절 아니 편도 용투야 로 토바소 그 신도 제와 셔바오자
So it's saying here then that again through the benefits of patience, that the one of wealth and renown and happiness are like the side effects, helps of patience. But in this context here is not only that, but even when we are in cyclic existence, in the lives in the cyclic existence, patience produces a beautiful body. And that also we have an excellent kind of a retinue of people who kind of flock to us quite easily, that we are very likable kind of a human being. And this often, this kind of comes from when we encounter problems, that we don't point a finger out blaming somebody else, but we readily understand that this problem is a result of my own negative karma that I've accumulated now ripening. And so that sense of really not pointing the finger leads then to people really liking you easily. Not only that, but we have no illness, so therefore health and a long life and renown, and yes, and to be able to live for a long time. And that like these are similar benefits to what are known as the wheel-turning monarchs or kings, that they have this capacity to engage in so much a benefit because of these circumstances.
아니 저 컨트롤 사야다 되네 개개매 저는 최주배 통계를 줘도요. 그래 말아도 다데 내가라 말아도 지금 예예 건가 소스 셈마기버 소리다 또도 용 되기도 하디 가서는 또 소스게 세배 냠랭간에 비다고 고마도 받지 아니 단다에 딱다매 받지 아니 되대 온게 아니 소스 레냐바 샤바데 또 차로 뭐 열봐 소스 세델 세배 냠레 야고잖아 세치마 편jal라 치마데 발레 아니 세배 냠레 비다고 요 소소 코르가 소베냐면 비다고 요 되게 아니 같이 매버들 렐라보잖아 저쪽으로 와 렐라보죠 저다 주디베 튕길 렐라보죠 저쪽으로 어디 숨고요 어쨌죠
And so the term of an excellent kind of a retinue of those people who surround us is to distinguish them from perhaps those who, friends that we have can lead us down the wrong path and to engage in negative karmas and not to handle our own problems in a more skillful way. but rather when we have this excellent retinue, or those that in our circle, they are acting as conducive conditions for the practice of Dharma. That's what it's all about. And so they are supporting elements in our own practice. And so then finishing this chapter is the second of the main outlines that came at the very beginning, which means the name of the chapter. And this chapter is known as the practice of patience in the context of the activities of the Bodhisattva, the chapter number 6. And so we leave it there for today.
And
so again, we bring our minds to bear on the figure of Shakyamuni Buddha that we are visualizing in front.
And then that comes on draw to cover Kevayne, and then take us to the Tungle Matevares, that was Tunga to the Chaba to Jigga Tunga, that's Mateva Chatel, like Chaba to Jigga Tunga the Mabanga Pato, teaching Kochakabago Bato, when I done and I did it tell on what you actually remember into, and Chaba to Jigga Tunga the Matter, top into the tele, never showing Yanjo to Kombashet.
So first we develop the mind of renunciation by reflecting on the suffering within the 6 realms of cyclic existence, and how we have those 3 sufferings, the suffering of suffering and the suffering of change, but particularly pervasive suffering, and knowing that until we're able to abandon the suffering, pervasive suffering, there is no real fully qualified happiness to be had. And so we want to gain that sense of emerging from this state, state of cyclic existence, and so develop renunciation. And then through this reflection on renunciation, the syllable Bam appears on our crown, which then transforms into the lotus mandala seat.
Then that's some Tamjig and Sanjay Komar to be is and Nati Kabatu Secho and Nadi Nadita Ramana to do Secho and Nati Sem de Redua, Yanangati Rangu de Redua, Tabachawachitu, and Tamoji Chungurwata, Ludia, Narimuto, Sem de Narimuto, and Nakabatus, and Batsecho, and nothing that Nigi Yomari. Mani to maybe twenty, Chaggy, I yoba no to be yore, like you mudus. No to go. That you're down the contest to so the other Namju Mozula Chawan Medigate. Medigate, cousin according the Rawan the Matubatate or two, and quite Rawan to Batuza Mabachela, more to Bachene, and the Kacha Katsam Tilla, and the same shop, and then they gave a lottie, and the Pamatama gave a tento. And 이게 홍지 주소 삼사체 홍 요소 주발래 아니 니메지 원야가와 주소 삼사코바샤.
And then we have this notion of I need to attain enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings, and we begin to analyze what is the mode of existence of that self, that me, I. And so we engage in asking, is that a self-powered sense of a self? And we look into the body-mind continuum to find such a self-powered self, looking into the body, looking into the mind, and there not finding it. And so asking then, what does that imply? That we have to ask the way in which it does therefore exist. It can therefore exist. Because we have this, definite feeling of I am happy, I am sad, I am unhappy, etc. And so we have to ask, what is that way of existing? The kind of way searching for the that which is seen as an absence, that which is not found, and really abiding in that moment of the mere negation of the object of negation, that mind then transforms into the syllable hung on top of the mandala disc, and then that transforms again into the sun disc.
我这个公司，我大概在，我大有的主播队长没把人把人都大过主当的，来做，说电的中华就不是多，他电的中华人把人呢，哦，他的甚至他们这个东西三节我们主要是都把永远就要把这里下手，他的永远要把就马主把人呢，他干的这个，他这样永远就马主的这个么多少，甚至他们这个都是三节我们，啊，那永远都拖把这个上了马头的这个么多，永远都拖把这个上不上去，俺都恐怕这些，但那个对吧的，啊那可是的的里面个电动，基本里面个经过个电动，一个阿几了就说上不上去。 Tena adi yongso jubale, ani kasore tawe jingwa nyakawa chijosu samsa watena kumbacha.
And so then through establishing that phenomena cannot exist objectively or independently, then we conclude that they must arise in dependence. And how wonderful that is, because it makes possible the accumulation of causes that lead to the development of the mind of enlightenment, and to further practice that to attain the state of enlightenment itself. It makes all of this possible. And so this aspiration that we have to quickly attain the state of enlightenment is symbolized by this syllable a, which is there with the on the sun disk mandala, and it transforms into the moon disk mandala seat.
That's and a range doing Nagala, Lama to be on Botella Mina Padesa, Lama Roboja, Joe up in the country of Kusu to Jogo, so the Chawalatana, Tambecas of Pet, Nibek of the show, Sumber attention, Sajan Gomato, but it's just what I was so Yala to be made at the Chavapi.
And so then we utter the invocation verse thrice. O glorious and precious root guru, come take your lotus and moon seat placed there on my crown. Keep me safe in your kindness. Bestow on me the attainments of body, speech, and mind. At the end of the first recitation, the figure moves from the figure space in front. At the end of the second, they have arrived at our pre-prepared seat. And at the end of the third recitation, we have the certainty that the Buddha will remain until we attain the state of enlightenment. We rejoice at this point and make the offerings of the 7 limbs of practice and the mandala offering.
What did I say? What did I say? What did I say? And then was what the Yang Yang Gombashi, Rwanda comes to draw with the Kabaja by ne, and to Tungel Mitebare, some such and water, there is a water by chen and water, never join and drink it. Today, never Lotti. And Rangi needed, you get pumped like you saw some such. And pump the Yonso Jovale, and it's a Casura. Pamata like you saw some such. And then Takaja Chinanga chocolate when at Samlataneta, Anna, the Simja Tamja, the Sanja Kumatu, Soso, Samlatanga in Barinata, Takaja, you didn't do us, but do some of those Kodachoba combustion. Kodachoba combustion, and then they get near Lotte, and you get Hunch like you saw some such. Who the Yonso Jovale, and the Casora. And you make one yaka or some such. What are the name by Yenza? That's Simja Tamja, Sanja Kumba to be a time you watch it, Shasa, what are Tenjunga Tawa Tela Tene, and Sanja Kumba to Tuyagita, Guadi Tene, and too much, and Simja Tamja, Sanja Kumba, too much of Matum, connecting Simja Tamja, Sanja Kumba, you don't too much in South Kumbache. And then you have a lot, you can actually, I also do a direction when Yaka so that the Kumbacha.
And then again, we focus on the mind, focus on the renunciation factor, and how in any of, wherever we are born, in fact, in any of the realms of cyclic existence, we cannot get beyond suffering. And so this mind of definite emergence, of renunciation, transforms into the syllable BAM. And this at our heart center now transforms in turn into the lotus mandala seat at our heart center. How all external and internal phenomena lack any objective existence brings us to contemplate the mind of emptiness, and how through understanding this, how no phenomena can exist objectively or independently, even at the atomical level. We reach that situation of really seeing how any searching for objective existence, it will lead to not finding it, and it's a mere not finding, a mere abiding in the mere negation of the object of negation gives rise to the syllable hung on the mandala disc, which transforms into the sun disc mandala. And then bridging on to take advantage of that conclusion, how all phenomena must arise, therefore, independence, and that we can develop the causes and to cultivate that mind of enlightenment to really attain enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. That mind of enlightenment is symbolized by the syllable A, which transforms into the moon mandala seat at our heart.
담배 가서 배 니배 가서 순배 때도 저 산재 공부만 다야 보시고 중소 산을 공부하셔 되네 니 배마다 되네 배마다 이제 가좀는 남지 닝내다는 현재 대대도 도지가 없상가 제가 가지 뒤 타고도 또 몇층아 따에도 뭐는 마음서 무슨 것 같아요 되네 지지 자매가 좀 엄마 알아봐서 나디디디디 되네 되네 거 엄마 예당하는 샤만에 요소들 무슨 것 같아 되네 공부하셔.
And so then we utter the invocation verse, so glorious and precious root Guru, come take your lotus and moon seat placed here at my heart. Keep me safe in your kindness. Bestow on me the attainments of body, speech, and mind. At the end of the first recitation, the figure moves down through the crown chakra into the central channel. At the end of the second, they arrive at our pre-prepared seat at the heart. And at the end of the third, we have the certainty that the Buddhas will remain until we attain enlightenment. We rejoice in that. Then the petals of the lotus fold over and are sealed at their tips by a white five-pronged Vajra. That package is surrounded by three mantras: the name mantra of Shakyamuni Buddha in a clockwise direction, the mantra of Manjushri in an anti-clockwise direction, and the mantra of dependent origination in a clockwise direction.
고송토래 외세 빠도 매버처럼 랑게 집원에 간대고 팔로 외세 좀 트네 랑게 류타자 아니 또 가서도 고송토 외기 아니 외기 탑네 아니 델라테네 랑게 토마 매바나 사베 디바데 켜봐도야 아니 딱간자 쏘줘봐 마제말네 봐 메상와 줘봐 주연 참아서 좀 같이 낙선 녀선 로달을 써봐 딱간자 제베 하나마도 라신 하나마도 봐 딱간자 토마 매바네 아니 뒤 단다고 뒤 드링게 봐도 단대게 봐도 아니 배 저기 가서데 다 야바 근데 싸워 봐 다가네 생게 세 다른 차례 생가마 뒤가마라서 배야 도바켈레네 소다가 도바다케와 자주서 발라와다 가와 상가게 다스다 가와 파다 말라마고 전부다 로벨로 조소바서 뭐 구조소로 네벨 내지 봐 어느 담배 쳐봐 파베 준들로 구하다 봐 심절로 네벨 내기 봐서 다가네 야바 근데 싸이나 델라데 디제고 남인게 되고 샤바주도 뇨아주도 단델라 소바 다가네 쳐드베 게게 루게 나자 생게 동에 중심 코만이 와 자롱 틸레 교연 담제 로다 도나 다 간제 네바 근데 저 사요바다 대다 선제 바 장치 다바죠 대다가 유단지 된지 바자다 저바 장치 다바 총수 삼사죠 장서 하도도 뉴도 산제 고마 토발라 배 교연 체제의 탐에게 나셔 임보다 탐에게 나셔 교연 탐제 단 가나다자 다바랑 잡아시 차도 야고 시우 총수 서서 어디도 공부하자.
Then from within the lotus package, the Buddha within sends out light rays from body, speech, and mind, which pervade every cell of our bodies from the crown of the head to the soles of the feet, and thereby purifying all the negativities and obscurations that we have accumulated since a beginningless time, all the naturally occurring negativities, all those prescribed by the Buddha, and all the associated negativities with 10 non-virtues, the killing, stealing, and sexual misconduct associated with the body, the lying and harsh speech and divisive speech and idle gossip associated with speech, and the malicious intent, covetousness, and wrong view associated with the mind. All disrespects that we have shown to our parents, up to our gurus, all of the breakages and the downfalls and the degeneration of vows, whether the Pratimoksha vows or the Bodhisattva vows or the Tantric vows, and all the and negativities associated with the ailments and sickness in the body, which acts as an inconducive condition for practice, and the negativities associated with mental illness as equally an inconducive condition to practice. All of the possible negative ripened effects of the environmental effects, of the effects associated with the experiential cause and the habitual causes and so on. All these are completely and utterly purified. All the negativities that arise from the self-grasping attitude and the self-cherishing attitude, all these negativities are completely purified. And that particularly the negativities are associated with the imbalances in the elements or the channels, winds, and drops, and all of these are completely purified. Ultimately, we particularly want to purify ordinary attitude, that which is the main impediment to our quickly being able to attain enlightenment. And so we dedicate all of this so that these are all purified.
Anu sozo shindo te long de nyele che lama shaja se ku de leji che gen sozo lu de lama shaja se ku le ju sozo shindo te sem de len len che lama shaja se ku de leji sozo sem de lama shaja se ku le ju rang ge lunga yi zo lama shaja se ku song dong go ye me ju so ti de wa dong ba de to ni su me yi shi ke so sam dan che de to ni su yi shi ke so sam sa wa de che.
And then through the combination of my own most subtle wind acting as the substantial cause, together with the body of the Buddha acting as the cooperative conditions, my own body is transformed into the enlightened body of a Buddha. And then through the combination of my own most subtle mind acting as the substantial cause, together with the mind of the Buddha acting as the cooperative conditions, my own mind is transformed into the enlightened mind of a Buddha. I now see my whole body, speech, and mind as being inseparable from the body, speech, and mind of an enlightened being. This produces a sense of bliss which combines with voidness, and I abide in the wisdom of non-dual bliss and voidness.
Ani di tugale lama shaja singa simje ga chanda nyambo patwe ne ani ji kamsung ga simje tanja la lama shaja singa re re ne timbala tene deda tanja ja keji ga lama shaja singa kuzu tu ngo yeme chusus deda ga nesa ga ne deda tanja nu gyen tanja tene ta kamsung ga simje tanja ga esa ne diga da nu gyen tanja tene lama shaja singa tabe shido chusus o ta simje tanja sanje gomala kogi isa ta nima tirin ko to 서로 다 야고 쇼줘서 가고 아니 심지어 단자 산지가 살아 거봐 뒤에도 수수께와 같고 대두고 소소도 제바 그가 유대는 줘봐 두자 요만은 서 커다 주고 고마쇼 디 대화대 디 예별로 디 동바대 안데 돈 있으면 이 시켜서 어디를 공부하자.
And then the place that I am in also is purified of all degeneration and fault and becomes the palatial abode of an enlightened being. Now, seeing myself as the fully enlightened being, inseparable from the body, speech, and mind of an enlightened being, also seeing myself as not existing in the way that I appear, I send out light rays equal in number to all the sentient beings in all the realms of existence and all the 3 realms of existence. And that as those light rays dissolve into those sentient beings, they spontaneously arise as fully enlightened beings. Likewise, the place that they are in also is purified of all faults and degeneration and becomes the palatial abode of enlightened beings. I pause to understand that this is the momentous occasion in today that I've been able to lead all sentient beings to that state of enlightenment. This is great. I completely rejoice. Also understanding that this leading all sentient beings to that state of enlightenment, the virtue which has facilitated this and myself as the agent of that virtue, all 3 lack any objective existence. They're merely imputed by thought. Reflecting on this induces the mind of bliss, which combines with voidness, and I abide in the wisdom of non-dual bliss and voidness.
what 다른 건저 뭐가 이제서 문에 걸어 들려 산je 살고 되게 레라고서 요마와 이나야 단다 티 삼로 따왔나 현재 문에 걸어 되다 그 두에게 아니 튀엔다 그래서 튀게 개견의 대화 되게 용해다 안 되게 용해 되려야 라산제 고 뭐도 탐도 라산제 고마 파발아야 자주가서 돈이 되게 싫어지게 냠래 맞고 탐도 다 되게 임바 연사 다 가르쳐 두고 그랬으나 다 소속에 도나 사나 토나 녀나 다 같이 기부 주나 두부 주나 다 내단 거래지 잡아 이나야 자주 쌤도 돈이 되게 싫어 고매게 게 국업 요래 다 국업도 심도 받잖아 아니 자주 쌤도 돈이 되게 싫어 게게 튕겨라 자투 받잖아 튕겨라 자투 받잖아 로디 게게라 먼저 튕겨라 아니 튕겨라 심도 받잖아 와다 리베게 아니 가서 저기 뉴도 아니 자주서 돈이 스톱이 새롱아지 게나 사주 랑가르 산제 고만 뉴도 토미게 어떤 와체자 어체자.
And of course, we're operating here at the level of aspiration and the imagination. And yet, when we come to dedicate, we do that as genuinely, as sincerely as we possibly can, so that actually we can really make this happen, as make it manifest as quickly as possible. And knowing that then to attain that state of enlightenment, of course, we need to be able to generate the main causes for that. That is the mind of enlightenment and the mind of emptiness. And we need to have all the conducive conditions to facilitate that, and none of the inconducive or obstacle conditions that prevent us. And so, therefore, we look into every situation, whenever, however we are, and looking at every situation as an opportunity to be able to imbue the mind with that mind of enlightenment and a mind of emptiness, to be able to not just see opportunities for ourselves, but to seize those opportunities, to make it a natural kind of automatic response for us to imbue every single action with the mind of enlightenment and with the mind of emptiness. And we make a sincere dedication that we will do this as efficiently as we possibly can. Go Parsho Rimpoche Ma Ke Pa Lo sang rong pe sha lo so de mi me te we te dreaming can pay won't Gong Chen Can Pei Su Ken San Ka Lo San Dai Pei Sha Lo So Lo sang rai pe shalom so You are Avalokitesvara, great treasure of compassion, not aimed at true existence, and Manjushri, master of flawless wisdom, as well as Vajrapani, destroyer of hordes of demons without exception. Tsongkhapa, crown jewel of the sages of the land of snows, Losang Drakpa, at your feet I make requests.
Thank you. Everyone, take care.
Thank you, Genma. Thank you, Noel. Thank you, David.
Noel. Thank you, David.
Thank you.